everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to Gen Con's TableTakes here in Caldea Studios. How are you guys all doing today? I am joined by Emma, Derek, and Christian, and we just found out some horrible news. Derek has not heard about Hocus Pocus.
I mean, I'm aware of, like, the phrase and the magic.
There's also a song called that.
I mean, but that's about it.
So why it's relevant is we're going to talk in a little bit about spoilers.
Spoilers.
Related to Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
I was trying to convince Derek that I said there's a Hocus Pocus board game, and he looked at me blankly.
And I was
said,
like, cool.
He's like,
Cool.
what? I'm like, Hocus Pocus. He still looks blank. I'm like, you're trolling me right now because literally everyone ever has heard of Hocus Pocus. That's why, do we have a poll? Are we doing a poll? We're doing a poll.
It's a poll.
Okay.
Vote.
So we're going to see
Democracy.
how alone
Somebody back me up here.
Derek is.
But yes.
Yeah, see?
Okay.
It wasn't me, by the way. I just
He's
hold on.
not the only one.
There are 2 no votes.
Two
Okay.
no votes. All right.
All right. Well, since you wanted to know that, slide in why we're
Tell
talking
us about more poorly made fantasy comedies.
Oh, how dare you!
Ouch.
Aw.
Yeah.
Burn.
Hurt me.
I know it's a movie. I just have never liked it.
Well, but then you showed me the poster, and I was like, wait, are you not talking about The Witches of Eastwick?
Which is a great movie.
Yeah.
I have not seen that one.
I think that traumatized me as a child.
Yeah.
There can be multiple witches movies.
Witches
Yeah,
are.
but
There's
which
also
movie?
practical magic.
Which movie are you
Another great
witching
one?
about?
No, that's not a great movie. That is a
They're-
bad movie.
What?
So,
it's cute.
Emma, I feel like there's one of those situations
The
where
Craft,
you're told
also
you
terrible.
you need to dig
You were
up.
never a teenage girl.
The
okay?
Craft is great.
Right,
The
but
The
you
Craft
not-
is great.
Do
The
not
thing
talk bad
is,
about The Craft.
all of the movies that we just spoke about, you had to have been a teenage girl at one point in your life to really enjoy.
Craft is awesome. How
Do I get an honorary teenage girl card? Because
You
The
can
Craft
be a
is just
teenage-
great.
If I don't get one, you don't get one.
Craft is great.
Thank you, Derek.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate that.
We appreciate you. But getting back, before we start throwing things at each other about which series, Emma, we see you on the Toy Fair is going on right now.
Yeah, in New York City, it's one of the biggest trade shows specifically for mass market hobby board games. A lot of games are being announced right now, so we have nothing we're going too deep into because we don't have a ton of details about stuff. But we just
But
wanted to-
definitely keep an eye out on Twitter and stuff like that for, if you're the biggest Hocus Pocus fan, this is your weekend apparently.
Yeah, Hocus
Yes.
Pocus board game.
So there was a Wonder Woman co-op board game was announced.
Yeah.
Which I love the idea of because it's a Wonder Woman co-op board game, which means probably only one person gets to be Wonder Woman and everybody else has to be like lame World War I soldiers.
No, the other characters I think are all other Amazon warriors around Themyscira.
Oh, so all the ones that have names like
Yeah, those ones.
and
Yep, that one too.
also
Yeah, she's definitely
What's
in
her
it.
mother's name? That should be relevant. I forget what
It's Greek. They're all Greekish.
Diana Senior.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she is Diana Jr.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're all like Amazons around the island defending it from Ares.
Thermoscopolis.
Sure.
Sure.
Thermoscopolis.
Thermos.
Anyway,
Yes.
there's also a Scooby-Doo board game.
Hey.
There's a Marvel reskin of Villainous.
Villainous,
Yes.
which is very
See,
exciting.
that's
cool.
kind of cool.
That
Yeah.
is cool.
I'm 50-50 on that because like I'm way more into
Can
Marvel
I team
than I
up
am into Disney.
Maleficent with Thanos?
Yeah.
Probably.
If I can, then I love this
There.
game.
We can
I
fight
think-
them against each other.
I think it's going to depend on how many X-Men villains are in that. That's what'll get me into that.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Like Magneto, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
I'm in for. We'll see what else.
Yeah.
And then I hear there's some other game that everybody has been anxiously anticipating for a long time.
Everyone
Oh, yeah.
very excited about.
Abandon All Artichokes.
That's the one.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, which is my game, which is its trade debut is tomorrow, February 22nd, and we'll be at Toy Fair. It's been teased a little bit online, but this is the first time we'll be in a location for people to
It
look
sounds like
at,
a game with a
so-
lot of heart.
It's actually a heartless game because you're trying to abandon the artichokes. So
Oh.
heartless.
But
Yeah.
artichokes all
A heartless
have
board game.
hearts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're getting rid of
You're
them.
leaving them on the roadside.
You're trying to leave?
You
Yeah.
abandon
The
the
artichokes?
artichokes.
You
yeah.
have to abandon
You
them.
compost them.
So,
This is me.
I totally get it, and I'm in.
like Toy Fair, is kind of it's called Toy Fair, not like board game fair.
Yes.
So a lot of the market is more for toys, more mass market.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of these runs of licensed games. A lot of them being designed by Prospero Hall, so they're coming out from Ravensburger, Funko Games. I think Funko Games keeps teasing that you need to be following them on Twitter for some huge announcement this weekend. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some other big thing coming out for them. Don't know if it's Funkoverse or what, but
We'll have to see.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
If it's more Funkoverse, I'm fine with that. Just
Just
we're
all
clear on that.
Funkoverse.
Yeah, if they only make the one game, I'll be fine.
I love Lucy.
Yeah, you got golden
Funkoverse.
girls.
Yeah,
Golden
I got
Goyles.
golden
Goyles. Golden Goyles.
It's a different game.
I've always wanted my own very own little Rue McClanahan doll, and now I basically have one.
Yeah.
There you go.
What's not to love?
So
Goals.
keep an eye out for Toy Fair.
Yes, keep an eye out for Toy Fair, and then
Also, don't be misled by Toy Fair because it's one of those things that sounds like it's way more fun than it actually is.
Oh, yeah, they're also-
like if you're 8 and you're like, hey, Toy Fair, and you
Oh
go
my
to Toy
gosh.
Fair, you're gonna be so
Well,
disappointed.
they won't let you in. They don't even let kids in there because they have to specifically say no kids
Yeah.
because kids are like banging down the
Toy Fair,
doors.
not for kids.
Not for
I
kids.
know, right?
Only for business.
Yeah.
Yet if they call it the adult Toy Fair,
No.
No.
you're getting a completely different crowd.
I had that line in my head, and I was
No.
like, let's not mention that. And then Christian's like,
yeah,
hey,
I
what's
have.
up?
Remember the no filter thing? We've talked about this before. I'm just gonna say it.
The theme park fair is actually pretty cool.
Really?
There's a big old theme park. I watch a
Does
lot.
it have a bunch of tiny theme parks?
No, they have big theme park rides and also all their fair
Isn't
food.
that
So
called
like when you
going
go to
to-
get a
Do
corn dog
it.
from the corn dog stand, you realize it's just a place selling corn dog stands.
Yes.
Yeah, but like, I mean,
But
if
it-
you
it-
go
it
if you go
shows
to
you.
the theme park fair, I would expect it to be about theme parks, not to just be a theme park.
Well, but you have to. The whole thing is you have to demo the new theme rides, and they also preview all the new roller coasters, and also the food and mascots. It's just really cool. You guys should just see it.
Okay.
I watch a lot of weird things on YouTube.
Interesting.
Anywho, speaking about reviews, Christian, you want to talk about Paizo coming out with the new stuff?
Speaking of reviews,
Or reveals, sorry, reveals.
previews, in fact.
Previews.
Previews, they come before the reviews. Paizo has announced that they are going to be putting out next month a brand new adventure path for Starfinder, which is exciting news because Starfinder is an amazing game that doesn't have nearly enough content printed for it.
Yeah, you mentioned that there haven't been a lot of adventure.
There
paths
haven't
for
been
it
a
yet.
lot of adventure paths for it. I mean, there's been a few. Obviously, when they first came out, there was the whole station one that was really fun. I'm
Epsilon
glad
Station.
that they're branching out and doing more with it. The game is selling well. There's no reason they shouldn't be putting out more stuff for it, but I understand that with Pathfinder Second Edition having just released this last year, that they probably haven't had a lot of time to push stuff forward. But that looks like they're back on track, which is really cool.
I'm really glad to see it doing well because my love of Shadowrun can clearly demonstrate how much I like high tech and magic mixed together.
I
You know,
know.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. And this actually, I mean, Starfinder is such a cool game because it takes, that base world that they spent all those years building in Pathfinder that wasn't supposed to be anything when it started and somehow built into this great lore-heavy world.
Yep.
And then throwing that, 1,000 years into the future when that world has completely disappeared from the map, and it's like, it gives you a lot of your fantasy bugs, and you still got all the main races rolling around, living on different planets, but then you've also got like all these new races and androids, and it's just space opera plus fantasy. They do belong together
Yes.
in certain situations, and this is definitely one of them. It's called the Threefold Conspiracy Adventure Path, so take a look for that. It's going to be out on February 26th, which is just a few short days away from here.
And that's when. So, for anybody who's not familiar with Adventure Path, it's going to come out as usually 6 adventure books.
Yeah, I mean it depends on the adventure path, but it's a series of it's a campaign worth of
Yeah,
stuff.
so like the first installment of the campaign will come out in February, and then like more will come out after that.
Exactly, and people will be able to play it. And if they do any organized events, they'll probably be playing those.
Cool.
Yep.
So it's cool.
Ooh, it is very cool. Yeah, my group have been debating when to start like a Starfinder campaign. But-
It's a cool system, and it's easy to jump into. If you have the basics of old school Dungeons and Dragons down, you can play it.
yeah.
Nice.
If you know Pathfinder, it's even easier.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, I think if the question is when should you start a new Pathfinder or Starfinder campaign, clearly next week is the answer.
Yeah.
Next
available
week,
here now.
all right.
Yeah.
Then let me just
when
go
the
ahead.
first part of that adventure
We
path
chose
is released.
to do Blades in the Dark though.
Okay, we'll play that.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
All right.
We'll get there.
But yes, now more. We're just like By the way, did you guys know we're just revealing a bunch of stuff today?
Yeah.
Especially, you could say it's magical that we're revealing so much stuff today.
Sound
Emma.
effects, sparkles.
Sparkles.
We got a lot of Magic news to get through here, so we're just going to cram it all together, and I'll try not to go too far off the rails because I'm very excited about all of these things that are happening. First up, 2020 Magic Challenger decks have been revealed. So if you haven't heard about the Challenger decks, these are pre-built 60-card standard legal decks that are pretty powerful. So as far as the meta goes, they actually look at the types of things that people are actually playing and winning with on Arena or in paper, and they make pretty good facsimiles of those decks. I don't want to get too much into the weeds of metas with Magic, but as people start to explore the new set, the Theros set, they are finding certain things that are very powerful, and people want to play decks that win. But if you are to purchase the individual cards for these decks, it can be very expensive. It can be hundreds of dollars to buy the individual cards. But for these decks, I don't think we wrote down the retail price, but they were like $40 to $50 last year when they released these decks.
Yes.
So you can get incredible value if you bought these cards individually, hundreds of dollars versus like $40, and you get the same cards that are even still worth like $20, $30 per card.
Yeah.
So this is an incredible way to be able to, if you do Friday Night Magics at your local game stores, you're likely to get some wins with these decks. So it's not, I mean, you imagine like a kid or someone who's new to Magic and they come in where they just smash all their cards together, like they're going to get wrecked at these things. So it's very hard to come into a competitive scenario. So this really levels the playing field. Just to go over what these decks are real quick, one is called Allied Fires, which is a white, red, blue deck. This one is gross and it's the worst and everyone hates it. Basically, there's this card called
Unless
Fires.
they're playing it.
What?
Unless they're playing
Unless
it.
they're playing it, yeah. You basically break the color pie of Magic because Fire's Invention lets you cast any spell ever made as long as you have the number of lands. So you don't have to care about the colors of the lands. You just need 5 lands. You can cast a 5 mana spell. There's limitations. You can't cast any more spells on your opponent's turns, and you also can't. You can only do 2 per turn, but it's still gross because you slam down these big creatures, 2 of them, and then you can have your mana open to do other activated abilities. It's very powerful. Sarkin is just a dragon who spits out other dragons, which is also very good. So very powerful and strong. Next up is Final Adventures, which I think
like your
you
note here.
might.
Derek's
Derek's kind of deck, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have Adventures cards. So the recent Throne of Eldraine with the Adventures, split cards, you make the creatures, you just turn lots of card draw. So you get a lot of stuff in your hand. And then Vraska's ultimate is whenever a creature you control deals damage to a player, that player loses the game. So if you could just get one more thing, and it's really hard to pull that off, but it's fun, it's silly.
I like the idea of making your opponent lose the game like 5 times on a turn.
Oh.
Yeah, you lose the game. You lose the game again.
I just attacked
Yeah.
5 of your creatures, so you just lost 5 games, right?
Yeah.
All the games. Yes.
Give me all the wins. Next up is Cavalcade Charge. It is a red deck. Red deck wins.
Red deck all the
Smash
way.
Red deck, red deck, red
face.
deck.
Red
Yeah.
deck.
Fire, just hitting people very, very hard. Hit it very hard.
That's my baby right there.
Yeah.
Dark
Last,
side is aggressive.
but not least, is a Flash of Ferocity, which is a blue-green deck. You just cast a bunch of stuff on your opponent's turns. You leave up all your mana, and they're like counter all their stuff and like throw a thing down when they're trying to attack. So it's very tricksy and also kind
Sounds
of
very blue.
but is very blue.
A question from chat was, do these decks, Challenger decks, have arena codes? Do you know?
Oh, to get to play them on Arena?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. I think in the past, once you've got the physical deck, you would also have the Arena version of the deck. So that's something that we'll have to check
look
up
into
on and see.
Yes.
If we don't find it out now, I'll find out later and post it on the Twitterverse. Next up in Magic news is new ready-to-play boosters called Jumpstart Boosters. This is actually a really crazy Magic product. It's literally Smash Up meets Keyforge. And as crazy that sounds, it's true because you're taking 2 of these booster packs. They have 20 cards. They have all the lands and everything you need to play the game. Shuffle them all together. All the booster packs are themed for dinosaurs or goblins.
Ooh.
So you just like, okay, I'm going to do goblins and dinosaurs. Shuffle them all
Goblinosaurs.
together and have a 40-card deck and just play the game. And there's 121 different possible card lists, so that's why it feels a little bit like Keyforge. 500 reprints and 37 new cards, so they're making some new cards. All these cards are Legacy or Commander vintage playable. So these are all legal cards, not like a unset.
Yeah, so like it's not as ridiculously varied as Keyforge or
Keyforge,
anything
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
It's not that you'll get a full unique deck in each pack.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many themes there are, but there's probably not 121 themes. So there's still going to be some variation for the individual themes. And I'm just excited by the idea of just grabbing 2 themes and shuffling and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the thing that I enjoyed the most about Smash Up, was being like, okay, robot
Ninja
wizards.
robots, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ninja robots.
And just see what happens.
And then I think the way it's going to play is going to be a little bit like Keyforge, where you just buy the pack and just play. You don't need anything else. And just having that accessibility for kids, for parents, like this is a great product for anyone who doesn't know where to get started. It's
That
just
doesn't sound like Magic's
you
usual
go.
business model.
I know, right? It's usually like, hey, you need to know a lot of stuff before you can even think to begin to get into this. So, very exciting product. They're also going to have like the fabled god packs from the past. They're just going to have mythic rare packs that just have better cards.
Okay.
So
That's cool.
lots of cool stuff.
They probably won't cost more though, right?
No, they're just
Random.
It's
Yeah, it's
the
just random. So just buy a bunch. I'm
Yeah,
sure
Charlie
you'll
and the
get one.
Chocolate Factory. It's the golden ticket. You got to buy a bunch of
Oh.
ones because you'll just get the good ones. 1 in every 3 packs or something crazy like that.
That's
so.
crazy.
Lots of crazy stuff. Last but not least, in Magic news, they're making a documentary
Oh, yes.
about the origins of Magic called Igniting the Spark. We don't have a ton of information about this, but it is being produced by Brian Stillman, who previously made documentaries about the toys that made us and Plastic Galaxy,
Toys
the
That Made Us
story
is
of
awesome.
the
Yeah, I like
Star
that
Wars
show.
toys. Co-director Kelly Slagle, who helmed Dungeons & Dragons film of Dice and Men, and documentary Eye of the Beholder, The Art of Dungeons & Dragons.
Dice and Men won Best Film at Gen Con a couple years back.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And this is the kind of thing like we talk about on the Fireside show that we do on Wednesdays. We delve into the history, and I love it, just listening to these amazing stories.
So my
and
question is, why hasn't these filmmakers called you yet?
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
I
I'm
wonder
sure they
if
will
should-
at any moment.
I
Yeah.
wonder if Peter.
I don't know,
is in there,
maybe-
too.
They must
Yeah.
they must be planning to reach out to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. When are they going to reach out to us?
Yes.
Yes.
Gotta get in.
Why are you looking at me? I'm not making the movie.
Somebody
You make movies. You can.
Yeah, but I'm not making that movie.
Ah, dang it.
Where's our agents?
Where's our agents?
Yeah, we need
Come on.
people to. You guys, the
Yeah.
tech staff, right? You can. put
You've
this
You
almost
together.
referred
said
to agents now?
Agents, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or-
Never mind then.
okay.
Why? Oh.
I thought you said Asians.
Oh.
We need
agents.
But yes, I mean, now we just need to probably bother Peter Atkinson. He's probably in there, be like, hey,
Yes.
you want to tell us details about what's going on there? You know?
Yeah, so if you love getting into the history of your favorite games, you can tune into Fireside on Wednesdays.
Well,
we can also.
the back episodes of Fireside where they covered Magic
Yeah.
can hold you over until details for this
Oh yeah.
documentary comes out.
It's
Yeah.
like we have a podcast that's also available too.
Yeah.
Magic episodes coming out every Monday.
Yeah.
And I imagine there's going to be some crossover. I'm sure that Richard Garfield is in there, and
Chances are high.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's unlikely they're going to make a documentary and not talk to any of the people who are involved.
right.
So.
That's called a speculamentary.
It's called just fiction.
I would do like a King of Kong style documentary about the people who play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be.
Follow the top tier players, and then somebody's just starting out, watching them get frustrated and then crying.
Rage quit.
That's good film.
All the good films. There you go. $1 million idea right there.
And that's it for Magic.
Yeah. Oh, that is
That's
a lot
all the Magic news of the week, but that was only like 5 stories.
I'm sure we could. There's more stuff out there.
There's
I'm
more
sure.
stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah.
There's actually exciting stuff. We have talked about this. Christian, you want to go ahead and tell us about the exciting news that is going on?
Oh yeah, have you guys heard of Kickstarter?
Yes?
Yeah.
Sometimes at the end of the show, and by sometimes I mean every episode, we talk about all the Kickstarters that are available that we are interested in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, specifically that Derek was interested in at the beginning of the week. However it goes. They had some problems a few months back, as you may or may not remember. People were pulling their Kickstarters left and right because of a problem with labor.
Yep.
Yep.
They were talking about unionizing. There was a strike. There was a boycott. There was a whole bunch of drama surrounding Kickstarter for not the first time ever, but really the first time ever that that had to do with Kickstarter as a company
Yes.
that had employees.
Yep.
And so it definitely captured national attention in that regard. Good news, everyone.
Good news.
They have a union now. They had a special vote, and Kickstarter is now unionized.
And Kickstarter, the company, has recognized that, which is the key.
Yes.
That's the key right there, because when Walmart employees try to unionize, Walmart just fires them. Kickstarter didn't do that. They showed a little backbone. They decided maybe their workers did need protections and insurances and job security.
Because the company had been pushing back on the union for a while.
Right.
They've been saying that they didn't think that a union would be helpful or necessary, but they did say that if it's voted on, they'll recognize it, and they did hold that up. So I was very happy to see that come through, so that we don't have that hanging over our heads anymore.
Yeah. Kickstarter is a very interesting company. Just having been to the offices, talked to a lot of people who work there, they make so much money. And they don't put this in the right. They don't make a ton of changes to the platform. Or like if you look at, it's like, what exactly is it that you do here? And they do a lot of stuff with customer service, and there's a lot of stuff in the back. But for product development or releasing new products or updating it, there's compared to the amount that just comes in, like they can kind of not really make a lot of changes and just have all this money coming in. So part of my thinking is, all the people who are working at all the different levels of Kickstarter are seeing this as like, probably maybe wanting a piece of that pie and saying like, hey, there's...
But that's like the wrong reason to unionize.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the reasons they stated for unionizing was that Kickstarter is set up as a public benefit corporation. Like that was a new kind of category that was set up, 5-10 years ago, something like that. So Kickstarter is supposed to be an organization, a company that's not primarily driven or exclusively driven by profit.
Yeah.
It is supposed to make a public good and work for public change.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the employees were saying that to help ensure that the company stays true to those goals, that they need a union to give the people who are involved in the actual work of that a say in that process.
Yeah, I say not necessarily a piece of the pie, like, oh, just give us some of this money, but when you have that much money coming in and not necessarily all of it going to, like, they don't have physical product, they don't have a ton of places they have to spend that money, like, there is the potential for just having large amounts of money and people treating it correctly and making sure that the public good is served.
Yeah, it is an interesting question of, as a public benefit corporation, what will Kickstarter do with that money?
Yes.
Yeah. And
I imagine they'll just sit back and collect it like they've always done.
But they have some initiatives where they have fellowships and they have people actually come, they pay people to come to their offices in New York City and they support creators. And looking at the back end with the creator newsletters, there's a few things, but hopefully with this union, continue to expand upon that.
Yeah, I mean,
and with this kind of pro-labor stance that they're taking, they're actually getting back a lot of those customers that they lost over the summer, which is good.
I think my interesting. Oh, sorry. Interesting note to this. I don't know if this is the correct way of my thinking. But I think this is like the first major company, with major being a big name that everybody recognizes, that has unionized their white collar division.
This is the first tech company absolutely. They're definitely the first tech or video game-esque game company that has unionized.
I know.
And that is definitely setting a precedent that a lot of people are hoping will catch on.
Well, good. The seal is broken. Now we can maybe move the rest of the way there.
Which
means that video games will cost about twice as much as they do now in about a year and a half.
Well, people were saying about, I have a lot of chatter in my designer Slack and a lot of people in the industry, a lot of tech people, tech people on the one side, tech people don't organize because, hey, they have skills, and if they don't like where they're working, they can just move to another place and that they don't need to unionize. But on the other side of the argument is, but also there's crunch for video games, and there's a lot of practices that are not necessarily good for the workers. Yes. And the fact, if you don't like your job, just go to another one, and then it will all work out. It's like trickle-down economy, right? It's or just make all the workplaces not suck.
Yeah.
But when you're in a profession that traditionally freelances, like tech people, like entertainment people, unionizing can do more harm than good to the people who are there, because maybe they can't afford to join the union right away.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not part of their starting package, so they have to work up towards paying those dues.
Yeah.
It can be prohibitive in a lot of ways as well.
Yeah, I think an important thing to remember is that like unionizing doesn't solve every issue, nor is it necessarily the best solution to every issue, but it is incredibly important, and like should not be demonized to anywhere near the degree that a lot of politics does.
Yeah.
So I think that it's very gratifying to see Kickstarter, following through and recognizing the Kickstarter, because we were getting to kind of a point where it was becoming difficult, I think, for a lot of people to wholeheartedly embrace Kickstarter. Like, I don't think that Kickstarter would have failed if it had just rejected this. It still would have existed. People still would have used it to support things. But I think that the honeymoon phase that we have had with Kickstarter, where it's just like, it's great, Kickstarter's wonderful, we should all go there, let's share this Kickstarter. Those things become more difficult to do when you are a little conflicted about the organization that's doing it.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. But yes.
So there you go. They have a union now.
They have a union. Good thing to know, just to go back on other topics that we have talked about, because we do retouch on subjects, so that's why you might want to watch our YouTube videos and slap that in. But also,
You've got a page of outro.
I know, that's why I'm going.
Are you crossing these off as you're?
No.
A bingo sheet.
A bingo sheet, yes. So as we go ahead and hold on, sorry about that. What is it? I totally forgot what we were talking about.
Cyberpunk.
Oh yes, Cyberpunk. Sorry. So a lot of rumor mills have been going around about when Cyberpunk Cyberpunk Red is going to be released. Cyberpunk Red, which is the tabletop RPG version of Cyberpunk 2077, or of that genre.
Or it's the sequel to Cyberpunk 2020. Like,
It's there's a lot of mixing and mingling between the video game, and the RPG.
Right, and the video game just got pushed back.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to come out. It was supposed to come out April 15th. It's getting pushed back all the way to September.
So because of that, they released a statement. They put that it will be released in June, but they put in big, bold letters and italicized that if they feel that the game is not complete to the standards they want, they will be pushing it back as well. So this is just a target date that they're hoping to get. And so I kind of like, for me, devil's advocate kind of thing, I really do kind of like that games are like, sure, I'm sad that they're not releasing when they say they will, but I like that the company's trying to take time to perfect what they have versus just, releasing something that people will eventually get mad about.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what they're avoiding, and the fact that they were originally going to release the role-playing game at Gen Con this year.
Yes.
And they still might.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that's still a big possibility, but they're checking with the people over at CD Projekt Red, and they're making sure that everything is copacetic lore-wise, so everything matches up so they can be released together and used together. And I mean, that's great. The fact I'm super proud of CD Projekt Red for deciding to push the game back until it was actually done, because as somebody who buys a lot of video games, I'm tired of buying ones that aren't finished.
Yeah.
That's what patches are for.
Yeah. Well, but
No.
for
Have a finished game and patch the things that don't work with it after release.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't give me the whole game after release, because that's cheating me out of my money.
For a role-playing game in particular, you can't patch. So for a physical paper role-playing game, we've talked multiple times, even last week, about games that were just so broken that they had to do a second edition, and they completely lost their audience. Like, they went down in flames because they didn't spend enough time, just whole sections of text, filler text in the thing. So
I absolutely agree. I would, like, as a player, I would much rather wait, 1 to 6 months to have this game that I'm super excited about, to have it be a better game for that time. I absolutely would. But the only thing that I'm concerned about is, companies will sometimes need to hit release windows to, make a game suitably profitable to get enough buzz around it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they'll be able to balance the two of those and get it out in time, because I would love for Cyberpunk Red to be hugely popular. I would love for Cyberpunk to absolutely kind of come back and reclaim a throne.
I mean, also, we have a space available here if Cyberpunk wants to come over and maybe demo things, just saying,
Yeah. Play
internet.
a game, maybe?
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do.
But yes, okay. But speaking about exciting things that people are up in terms of entertainment news talking about, Christian, since you're our actor connoisseur.
Yes, I've tasted all of the best actors.
Yeah.
I mean,
Delicious.
what am I thinking up. You direct. You do that. He's in the. Never mind.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Actors are delicious.
Christian, the cannibal.
I went off the rails.
Christian,
So,
the cannibal.
so I'm all about internet scandal and the gossip stuff. That's what I'm into. That's why I do this show, just so I can do my little stitch and bitch session every week. Here it is. Tom Holland wants to play D&D, which is great news, with the Avengers actors. Also good news.
Yes.
And he said so on the internet. That's the whole story.
Whoa.
Yeah, but everyone is exploding with excitement because famous people like to play role-playing games too.
Yeah. Well,
What?
also one of the quotes here, we actually want to film it. So Tom Holland, because it would be really fun. Not live stream because I don't do. Is this live? Is it live? Okay. I'm really stressed out now. I just love that's in his voice.
Yeah. So exactly, he's in his cute little English accent, all 4'11" of him. And yeah, no, he's like, we don't want to live stream it. They want to do the whole edit it down, make it television. So the only part of the story that's important to me is that I think Tom Holland needs to suck it up and do it live like the rest of us have to do.
Yeah.
Sure, like we do, we all do now.
It's
we all
not
do
that hard.
live.
You are a professional actor, and now that you've turned 19, I think it's time that you go out and do some grown-up gaming. That's all.
Wow.
Wow.
Shots fired.
Ooh, challenges.
Sorry, I adore that actor. I think he's wonderful.
Yeah.
But come on, don't be afraid of being live. That's part of what being an actor is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Get on stage,
Just-
son.
Think
Improv.
how they would break the internet. If they did that, they would absolutely break the internet. I would watch it. You would watch it. We would
Hell
all
yeah,
watch it.
I would
It was-
operate the switcher on that show.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
And then they were saying Chris Pratt, but also they never mentioned that the one person that does play D&D and has been known, Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
yeah, who's been the biggest
Like-
D&D
I just don't
fanatic?
think he's in the Avengers.
Yes, Groot.
Yeah,
Oh,
Groot.
no,
Yeah,
that's right, yeah.
Yeah, Groot is Vin Diesel.
Or
Vin
did you
Diesel.
did you skip
No,
Endgame?
I was just like.
Look, we're not gonna
now,
get
now I'm just
into-
imagining that he has to put his little Groot figure on the table and hang out in the shadows.
I
And all I
don't
can
think
say is
his
I am
idea
Groot.
is to make them play their characters from the Avengers.
I know. I want their
Wait.
characters from the Avengers to play D&D.
Oh.
I mean, that's pretty
You
great,
want the
too.
make-believe playing the make-believe. I gotcha.
Only in this one
Oh.
case.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
You want to go ultra meta D&D with the
Ultra
Avengers
meta
cast.
D&D.
But I know this is a throwaway story, and we're just glossing over stuff. But
Yeah.
It's just cute.
I want to know something from the rest of my table. What classes is everybody? What does Tom Holland play? what character is he playing?
A bard.
You think about
Do you
it?
think so?
I think so.
I would say a young fighter.
Maybe so, but I mean, there's a
Or
humor.
a wily rogue?
Oh,
There's a
I know
humor
Chris
to being a
Pratt
bard.
is a wily rogue. Star-Lord is a wily rogue.
I figure Chris Pratt would probably be like a cleric because he's always talking about the Jesus.
Okay.
Monotheistic cleric.
I mean, I could do the characters, but I do not follow their actual lives to any degree.
We don't actually either. I just am imagining inserting.
Oh yeah,
various
like
characters.
Star-Lord's playing D&D, not Chris
Star-Lord.
Pratt.
Not Chris
Definitely
Star-Lord.
Okay, now, but if Star-Lord's playing D&D, that's a completely different character. you'd
Yeah.
pick. I just-
Oh yeah, Doctor Strange. Chat said Doctor Strange would totally be a warlock.
Oh yeah.
as
there you
opposed
go.
to
A
a
monk?
wizard or a sorcerer
No,
supreme.
I mean, I think he's much more a wizard.
Tony Stark would be. What would Tony Stark be?
A bard.
Oh yeah, that would be more of a bard.
Well, see,
Artificer.
Artificer,
Here's,
yeah. Oh,
here's
artificer.
a way to look at it. You could totally play Iron Man as Tony Stark as an artificer. I could see an argument for playing him as a paladin.
Sure.
A bard also makes sense. A wizard, here's the thing, is
Yeah.
this is what class would he really be?
Okay.
Talking about how D&D
We'll go with
it
an
has to be
easier
this
one.
one thing, but
Captain America.
Oh wait, I know this.
Warlock.
No.
Warlock, yeah.
Obviously not.
You think?
You're a liar.
No, that's totally just
Paladin,
like
come
cleric.
on.
Paladin. He's going to
Yeah,
be a paladin. Or
paladin.
maybe a fighter with a very good bent to him. Those are really the
No,
two
no,
options
you ready?
he gets.
You ready?
Yeah, I am.
Ranger
Uh-huh.
is a beast companion that's the shield.
Yeah. Funny story. Not a wilderness character at all. Also never
I don't
had a
care.
beast companion.
Urban Ranger, beast companion with the
I'll
shield.
take Warlock Hexblade with the shield
Okay,
as
see,
the
there we
pact
go.
weapon.
We
All
made
right.
it work.
I'll
right.
accept that.
So
What
we-
I just want to show here is that you can I mean, the classes
can
are
be
more
whatever you
flexible
want to
than
be.
you think they are.
We just talked about one of the primary benefits of role-playing games.
Yeah.
You can be what you want to be, guys.
Look at it. We just regurgitated known material. It really is a news show.
It is. But yes.
So there you go.
You hit us with good news. Now,
Tom Holland wants his older, richer friends to play D&D with him.
I'll run it.
So will I.
Yeah, so many people would be there for that. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, now that you hit us with good news, do you want to hit us with bad news?
Well, I mean, it's only bad news depending on if you're
Whether
a fan
you like
of any of the
RPGs.
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like RPGs?
Would
Yes,
you like
I
any
do.
'Cause if
RPGs ever?
Because if you do, this is a sad day. We announced 2 weeks ago and then again last week that Final Fantasy Flight Games is
Flight Games.
shutting down, or had been. They did all these layoffs.
Yeah.
And had fired a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And all of those people were from one or two sections of the business.
Like
being
RPGs and digital, basically.
Yeah,
RPGs and digital. So
Yeah.
we finally got the announcement that their long-term plan is to not produce any more role-playing
Well,
games.
just to clarify, this is a independently confirmed rumor from one news source currently.
Yes.
So D20 Radio has talked about this.
Yeah, so-
Yes.
Fantasy Flight hasn't made an announcement yet.
Wait,
Right.
so they're canceling all role-playing games ever. Role-playing games
Yep.
are done.
They're
Correct.
making them. They're
That is
outlawing
exactly
them.
it.
That's not true.
That's what I
That's not
read
true.
it.
This is sad news, though, obviously, because some of the bigger IPs that have been scooped up in the last years have been scooped up by Fantasy Flight, which
Yeah.
means that the current Star Wars role-playing game is
Yes.
under their purview,
Yeah.
as well as several others.
Yeah.
Legend of the Five Rings, which is, might as well be their flagship title since AEG doesn't have it anymore.
Genesis.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
just announced at Gen Con last year that they were going to open up community content for Genesis. So, are they still just going to let that go? Or are they
I
going to
think,
change
yeah.
the license in a way to let the community develop that? I mean, if they're not publishing the role-playing game, like if they're not publishing the core book, the market for community content for that is going to become increasingly limited.
Right, without the support
Now-
of the
Yeah.
owner.
The good news to this is anything that they had already announced is still coming out.
Yep.
So we're still going to be getting the vehicle book for Star Wars,
Yes.
the new L5R
The non not samurai
It's
book
the-
just came out.
yeah.
just came out.
That just came out.
So
The
it's
Gaijin-
brand
the
new.
Gaijin.
So
The
they
Gaijin.
are still releasing things currently, but that only goes as far as they have plans for this
Yeah.
year,
Yep.
and then
Yeah. So
they're not creating anything.
The
new at this
details for
point.
this are very vague because
Yeah.
this is apparently, again, it's a rumor, quote unquote, long-term plans. We don't
Long-term
know how
plans.
long-term those plans are.
But I mean, it makes me wonder. What's going to happen to Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems so weird to
It's a
talk
good game.
about it.
I've been playing it recently
Right? For
with
Yeah.
its proprietary dice.
yeah.
I was about to say,
I still hate the dice,
but you like the
Right.
game.
but it's a good game.
I have the dice for the game, for the Star Wars game, so I was thinking about playing it myself.
Yeah.
It's weird for them to just come out and say, it's who's gonna buy the Star Wars vehicles? Like you'll buy this stuff, but you also feel kind of bad about buying the things. So it's just a big bummer, and
It is a
product
bummer, but
company,
like
marketing-wise.
as somebody who loves L5R,
Yes.
I'm not gonna not buy the books that are coming out
Yeah.
because I know the game is ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna maybe be a little more conscious about my decisions because I won't buy a book that I won't enjoy reading when the next edition of the rules come out, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to maintain hope that eventually,
Somebody's
in 10
gonna
years,
pick up- somebody's
it'll come
gonna
back up
pick
on
up
these
Kickstarter.
licenses.
Yeah. So, I'm excited about that.
I mean, it looks like the L5R card game's still going to be around.
Yeah, that's gonna.
Yeah, like they
still
haven't
be around.
announced anything about that. None of the layoffs hit that division, but like I am worried about it because I didn't hear great things about the player base. Like I'm worried. Like I hope it's doing great because
Yeah.
I want to keep buying it and eventually go play it when I have freaking time to.
Yeah.
But I kind of figured that the card game and RPG were at least neck and neck, or that the RPG was doing really well. And if the RPG was not doing well enough to keep,
Yeah.
then I worry about what Asmodee might kind of put down as a command for other game lines that are not doing super great.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Fair.
I'm more concerned about Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm glad that there's going to be a new rule set of it at some point because somebody will eventually pick up the IP. But I'm going to miss, I miss all of the old versions of Star Wars. And speaking of the oldest, the West End Games D6 version.
Yeah.
Scott Poulter, the founder of West End Games, the people who made that the D6
Star Wars, the
has
first, kind of.
has just passed away. So you know, our condolences to you and your family. Thank you for making an awesome game and helping me get into role-playing games. I wouldn't be here without those. So
Yep.
you will be missed, sir.
Yeah.
There you go. That's it, man. That's my bad news and my slightly worse news.
Yep.
Fantasy Flight, not going to be making role-playing games. The guy who created West End Games died.
Yeah. Wow, that's a very sad point to end all of our major headlines.
Yeah, if only we
Yeah.
had some. If only we had some good news.
Yeah, I mean, we might have bundle news. Bundle news.
Ah, yes, the bundles.
Yes.
I'm excited about the bundles today because it's the Humble Bundle Digital Tabletop Bundle 2.
Yes.
What the heck is this? I'm not really a big board game guy. Usually when I get these Humble Bundles, it's usually all RPGs all the time.
Yes.
What's cool about this one is it's called the Digital Tabletop Bundle 2, and that terminology is a little bit confusing because it's
Yeah.
not just taking board games and making them digital. It's also specifically applies to digital games that have a very, very strong tabletop feel to them.
Yes.
So, for example, Armello, Slay the Spire, which I've played a ton of.
Me too.
Reigns Her Majesty has a physical and a digital version.
For the King.
Yeah,
I've
and
played that.
then Terraforming Mars is also part of this bundle, which is a strictly tabletop version. They have a digital. The digital version of the game as well. So there's games. I love the crossover here, where you're taking games. Hey, look, we can be digital, we can be tabletop, we can be a little bit of both. We can be a mashup.
Some
and
of them started as video games, became
Yeah.
tabletop. Some of
Yeah.
them did the opposite,
Vice
and
versa.
some of them
Vice versa.
are just digital, but are clearly they've played a ton of board games.
This is the baby of the digital space
Yeah.
being made and meld with the physical space.
we can all live
I
together
just
in
love how you're
harmony.
like, this is the baby being made right now, and I was like, stop the metaphor,
This is
stop
the
the
baby.
metaphor,
This is how babies are made.
Babies
stop
are
the
made.
metaphor.
Babies.
It does start with holding hands, I
Mm.
hear.
Babies are made like this.
So yeah, a bunch of really cool games here. If you want to get a bunch of digital tabletop games for not a ton of money.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like a $10 bundle.
Yeah.
$10
get all of these
bundle
games.
for all. And then also, hey, Slay the Spread, if you ever want to make a mobile version of it, just saying. Hint.
Please do it.
Yeah, Slay the Spire.
You have it on the Switch, just board it to the
there. Just move it over.
Just move it over, just one more step. Also, sorry.
So there you go. That actually benefits Able Gamers and Charity Water,
Yes.
two separate little
Two
organizations.
separate organizations.
But it's a good bundle, so go ahead and pick it up, and it's super cheap.
Yeah.
yeah.
Super
$10.
cheap.
Just Slay the Spire alone is worth that much money. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The bundle of holding this week has the Castle Funkenstein
Ooh.
bundle, which is a steampunk fantasy set in the Victorian era, obviously, because steampunk is set in the Victorian era.
Uh-huh. What? Wait, what?
I have
Yeah.
to say, this is the only steampunk setting, game, property thing that ever clicked with me. Like Castle Funkenstein was very, very good.
You'd like to get down with the funk?
Sure, yep.
The
And it's an older game. I mean, it's been around for quite a while, and it's one of those diceless RPGs. So it's got it had kind of a fringy feel to it, even when it first came out with the cool setting, because we were like, diceless RPGs. I don't know if you can't do that. It doesn't make any sense. But it's very, very storytelling based.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure that's the part that completely, that was the part that won your heart.
It was the Fae in it. It was one of the best
Because they're
kind of
super
executions of fairies.
Okay.
Because they were like just these neat, weird, otherworldly beings who didn't get people. So the reason that they're all
Nice.
weird is they're just like, imagine a bunch of pseudo demons just observing people and then being like, yeah, that totally means something. Like
Yeah.
all the jokes we make about archaeologists in the future, like getting our
Yeah.
cultural, and then being like, oh yeah,
They're
absolutely, and then
very-
just extrapolating out.
Yeah, like the aliens in Galaxy Quest when they were at the
Yeah.
Star Trek
Yes.
convention at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Very much that feel.
That's exactly what the fairies are like in
Nice.
Funkenstein.
I'm in for this.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
But so the bundle includes the complete 226-page player's handbook, a few of the player essential guide, which comes out with it, an equipment guide, and an adventure pack called Six Guns and Sorcery, which kind of tells you what the whole game is really about.
Yeah.
But that's just that's at the $11.95 price point. When you bump up to the $25 range, you get the monster manual, a whole bunch of adventure stuff, a new magic system, a bunch of pretend notebooks from pretend Leonardo da Vinci set in this pretend setting, and the memoirs of Oberon, which is a lot more information about the creepy fae and what they give you. This promotes a charity called Reading is Fundamental, and it's exactly what you think it is.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey, reading is good. You should read.
So there you go. Those are our bundles. Thanks for helping me out.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you as well. Now we give thanks to the Kickstarter queen.
Well, you're welcome. So our first Kickstarter this week, with hours left, basically is: do you want more monsters for D&D 5th edition?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
Kobold Press has Tome of Beasts 2, so you get 400 more monsters.
I remember Tome of Beast 1.
Well, now you can get 2.
Whoa.
And some of those are cute, and they can be
Like
your
the shriek
pets.
bats.
Can you have a shriek bat as a pet? Or a familiar? Are there new familiars?
Well, since I
Pets.
suggested
Beasts.
you could have a shield as
Shield.
an animal companion, I'm gonna have to say yes.
Whoa.
And I'm sure, like most sequels, it'll be twice as good as the original.
There, I
Yep.
want to have a shriek bat that's not a very good shriek bat, so it just goes,
Like a squeak bat?
yeah,
Squeak bat.
All right.
So you want
Yeah.
like a regular ass bat.
yeah.
A regular bat.
So again, this is just hours left. It's pretty straightforward. Do you want another monster manual? Because this is how you get another monster manual.
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
The next project with 1 day left is Cobwebs, and this seems to be kind of like a slightly different RPG. It says that it's a GM-less RPG that's basically like the X-Files adventures. But like reading into it, it seems like it's less that there's no GM and more that the GM responsibilities are kind of broken up.
Yeah.
And shared.
Because like they say that ideally it's 3 players. 1 player plays the one main character investigator. You know, like the solo character going through the Lovecraft story or whatever. But then the other 2 players, one of them plays all the NPCs in the world, but good and bad, and the other one plays like the outsider or it's a little unclear whether it's an antagonistic position or if it's just kind of like the magical fate position. You might be able to play it either way. Unclear.
I would play it as the love interest.
Okay. The universe is in love with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
The outsider,
Ooh, I like
like
that.
a meet cute with the hero, you know.
Yeah. And
But I find it very interesting that it's kind of broken up that way. It might be because I'm also listening to a Shadowrun podcast, actual play that has one GM kind of running the universe and another who's doing all the NPCs.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting interplay because they surprise each other sometimes.
I like that. Yeah,
So-
and it spreads the weight of it among 2 people.
Yes.
So if any of that sounded intriguing, then I would recommend checking that out. Or if you just love X-Files.
1 day left.
1 day left on Cobwebs.
Cobwebs.
The Kickstarter page also has a ton of audio from actual plays. Like I think they've recorded a bunch of plays so you can kind of see what it's like. In it.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. In a preview. Good job.
The Shadowrun podcast is Fun City. They're on Twitter at Fun City Ventures.
That sounds very Shadowrunny.
Yeah, now that my
Fun
commute
City.
is terrible, I have discovered podcasts finally.
I'm
It
getting there.
happens.
Yeah, and I'm pretty deep into this one. So the next project on Kickstarter is Trophy RPG. This is 2 days left. And this is actually like 3 different RPGs kind of smushed together, or RPG tools. One is Trophy Dark, which is like a one-shot horror game. There's Trophy Gold, which is kind of more like traditional fantasy adventure.
Okay.
Then there's Trophy Loom, which I believe kind of weaves a setting lightly, and it's not like here's a block of text.
Wait, this
read all the
loom
lore.
weaves
A
the setting?
loom.
Oh.
You're welcome. It's not like a big block of text that they're going to try to kind of weave in like charts and tidbits and details, and I believe it's designed to help you kind of transition one campaign between Trophy Dark and Gold back and forth, so you can kind of get some variety.
Okay.
I'm particularly interested in this one because it's from the Gauntlet forums, so the same folks who brought the Codex and stuff like that. A lot of indie RPGs. It's a very vibrant community about playing games, designing games, trying new games, doing weird things, collaborating with each other, even to the extent that while this is on Kickstarter right now, there are, I want to say 3 or 4 rooted in trophy games that are other Kickstarter projects that are new expressions of the game while this one's already on Kickstarter itself.
Interesting.
So it seems like there's kind of a community push around this.
Okay. Very cool. And that has 2 days left?
It has 2 days left. With 4 days left, Christian, would you like to tell us about the Dark Souls of D&D 5th settings?
That basically was everything I had to say about the Black Iron, a 5th edition dark fantasy setting.
Sounds dark.
Well, okay. I mean, it's obviously the lore is going to be a little different. Not everything can be a completely 100% rip-off of Dark Souls without getting sued by Dark Souls. This comes close. No, this is a fantasy setting. Obviously, dark magic. Things are waning. It was a big war between the elves and the humans. And you are in the last human city, which is protected by mages who don't have much magic left. It's bleak as all get out.
Sounds good. I like it.
It's grim and gritty AF, and it's got 4 days left. So you get the remnants of humanity, shacking up with the dwarves underground, so the elves don't kill them all. I played a campaign very similar to that once. It was awful.
Was it Rifts?
No, it was awful. I said it was awful.
Okay.
awful.
Obviously,
Right.
it was
Whereas
Rifts.
Rifts is an almost perfect game.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. My bad.
Is that where we're going with that?
Rifts is as perfect as World of Warcraft is good, the movie.
Okay.
Wait.
I understand what we're saying here.
You know that means something completely different to her than it does to everybody else in the world.
But it allows her to smile and for us to continue the conversation.
That seems fair.
All right, on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have Flirt Squad with 4 days left. All right.
I just want to pause for a moment. Can we at some point play Flirt Squad in Dark Souls, maybe?
I think we should.
Wait, so
What?
you're grim,
Yeah,
hey,
Flirt
like-
Squad in
I
the
just
Black
want to
Iron.
combine these
I have
two.
2 arms, and I didn't have it cut off,
Yeah, see?
so I'm very attractive.
Yeah, see, there you go.
I
Anyway,
have
why don't
both
you,
my arms.
why don't you tell us about what Flirt Squad actually is?
Hey, you have really nice arms. They would look great laying on the floor next to the bed in the morning.
So what Flirt Squad actually
Grim and gritty
is,
flirt
it's a fun LARP meant to teach flirting respectfully in a fun way.
Oh.
So it's a zine too. So I'm not sure if it's part of the Zine Quest, but it is a zine. It's about flirting. It's about LARPing. So you're playing live action for all experienced level players. So the idea behind Flirt Squad as a concept is a group of expert flirters who dispense their advice online, and a rare opening has occurred as your chance to let your flirty self out and be part of the expert Flirt Squad who gives out this advice.
I don't know.
I don't think this scenario has
Was this
ever
written
happened
by
before.
expert flirters?
Is this...
I think that, yeah, it was the coming together of online communities.
I'd like to see their resume.
Their resume is.
I think you want to see their
the
resume because that means
forums.
they'll flirt with you,
Yeah.
and you'll feel really good about it.
Oh,
But it's cool because the project
I want to
actually
feel good about me.
I know.
arose out of an online community where people were like, how do I flirt with people? Nobody knows how to flirt with anyone nowadays. Like,
Because nobody talks to each other in person
No,
anymore.
no,
know.
I'm pretty sure you just go, hey, and wink a lot, and then finger gun.
No, I am pretty sure that's not. I mean,
I'm pretty sure you just
My
sit here
experience
like
says
this
no.
and don't say anything.
Do you
and
have to
just
sneak
stare
up
at
behind them and just breathe really heavy behind
I'm
them?
going to go out on a limb here and say that nobody at this table was recruited for the expert flirters, the core team
You don't
behind
think
this.
we can court people?
I didn't say we couldn't. I just said the type of people we're going to court are going to like particular idiosyncrasies about us.
Did you know that I want to play some video games? Because I like video games. There you go.
That's actually flirt. You just play a video game with them, and the next thing you know, you're
Just want
married.
you to know I made a healer.
Oh, yeah.
I totally made a healer.
I can main as a healer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this
In other news.
this game will
I
actually
off tank too. I mean, if you need it.
This game will actually teach you how to flirt. Those techniques given to you by us who are in no way experts don't
well,
work for you.
I think I have to say, anybody who heard this premise and was like, that is too awkward and dumb to be fun,
Yeah.
I think that
Would enjoy the
we
game more than
just
anybody.
proved them wrong.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Because I'm not saying we did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the important part of this is practicing flirting in a creepy, not creepy, in a safe environment.
Creepy,
Creepy, not creepy. Like sorry, not sorry.
In a not creepy environment. And I do want to say real quick that this is important, and a lot of people in role-playing and LARPs, like a lot of people have a lot of issues
Absolutely.
with, especially women coming into these environments with being hit on in very uncomfortable ways. So having this be a system that maybe subconsciously will help in those scenarios is
Well, it's also
valuable.
like a lot of those people who come off creepy were not intending to do that. They just
Yeah.
literally have no idea how to do it.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
you know, we've talked a number of times. We've had Hawk on, talked about how good RPGs are for, you know, folks who face challenges, folks with disabilities, to
Yep.
learn how to adapt with them, learn how to socialize. But that's not the only people they're good for. All of us can learn things.
Even
out
if
of
this just teaches people how to flirt in a role-playing game, it's a good
Yeah.
tool.
Yeah.
Because why is it that the people with the 18 charisma never know how to hit on anybody?
Yeah.
This is true. This is true. But yeah, no, it's a great thing, and that's
I talk
awesome.
my way out of it using my charisma.
Yeah, spoiler alert, it's not charm person.
Really?
That's true.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not flirting. Yeah.
Charm person, is it?
No.
No,
Probably not.
that's
Yeah.
no.
Oh.
No.
Completely different animal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
All right. What's
But
next?
that's
Oh,
Flirt Squad.
4 days left.
4 days left.
Flirt
But
Squad.
now, hey guys, if you guys, I know there's some people in chat that really do like national parks and just beautiful artwork. So before last year, last year from this very date,
Yep.
the game called Parks got released, which is a beautiful, masterful piece celebrating U.S. national parks. Basically, they've just announced and started a Kickstarter for Parks Expansion, Nightfall, plus Park Memories. So it's like a two-parter that you get, and this is basically what really draws me to this to this game is that it is done by about like over 35 artists. They went and studied these parks in both daytime and nighttime to create these beautiful landscapes.
the covers of these boxes, the artwork is amazing.
It's
So
just
pretty.
so beautiful. It's just like definitely if you want to go ahead and support like beautiful artistic games that also cover like things that are actually here in the physical world, you'll definitely enjoy this game. So it comes like you just basically roll as two hikers trekking around these beautiful parks. Like the new expansion will include like a couple more artwork from all these, like I think they only released, if I remember correctly, they only released half of the parks that they are actually making. So now they're adding 24 new parks plus nighttime landscapes of these parks. And they also include a Parks Memory, which is a memory tile flipping game that you can enjoy. So if you guys like those, like just the ambiance.
I like the idea of the two
Yeah.
hikers going out and seeing the national parks. I don't like the idea of them not getting eaten by bears or like Wendigo or something.
It's not that kind of game. It's
I
just
know,
meant to
but
be a
I have
beautiful
that kind of game on the brain.
But
That's
now I
fair.
just imagine like we sit down to play with him and he's just like slipped some hand-drawn art. There's like stick figure Wendigo eating somebody in one of the parts.
It would be better than a stick figure. I'm just saying.
Landslide. Oh,
Landslide.
No.
I'm back on
Zombie attacks.
This, I have sadly not got a chance to play this game. It's very high on my list of games to play.
Heard a lot of good
because-
stuff about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that has 4 days left.
Pick it up. Looks like it's pretty pricey.
Yeah, but I mean that's because they hired 36 artists to make.
And they're paying the artists
Yeah.
money.
Yeah,
Which is great.
Which is great, but that's what I said. You get the value for what you.
Up
Yeah.
next,
Yes.
with 4 days left, we have Quiver Time, Citadel Deck Block, Cards, Dice, Tokens, Coins.
Yes.
What they don't mention on this is that there is a baby quiver.
So
Nice.
Bwiver is the
A
official
quiver,
title.
yeah. So a lot of people, I'm surprised because I'm so inundated in the industry and people, like everybody in my circles knows what a quiver is, and then I carry
Every
it
game
around.
designer,
especially like
game
especially
designer
female game
thing.
designers
Yeah.
that I know, will have like the convention quiver,
Yeah.
the home quiver,
Yeah.
the travel quiver.
Because it's just the perfect transportation device, not for big board games, but if you have Magic decks or Keyforge decks or any other smaller card games, card boxes, or prototypes, great for taking that around. And it's great for convention travel because instead of having like a big backpack with a million things in it, have one, or I carry 2 around sometimes. You can switch out what you need for different purposes.
Your morning convention quiver and your afternoon
Yes.
adventure quiver.
And the evening quiver, of course, is where all the good stuff is.
Little black quiver. Everyone needs
They're
one.
little black quiver. Well, speaking of which, the baby quiver is a little black quiver. The full size one is about 24, 36 inches, and the little one is about half that size. So almost
Yeah.
like a little
The person
purse
watching the show on
bag.
their phone right now is like, oh, it's like about like a centimeter maybe.
But the quivers are great for carrying stuff around. One of the main things of this Kickstarter in particular is the deck block. Deck box, deck block.
Wow.
which is a very interesting form factor. You should definitely just go and check out the page because it has a magnetic clip to it and the stand, and you can put the cards in multiple ways, and you get dice in there as well. So really interesting, fun, functional stuff. Really great company, and I think the build quality is the biggest thing about this because a lot of the products, bags you can get just aren't very durable. This thing, sling it around, the zippers are very well made. You can just like throw it in your suitcase, not worry about it getting damaged. So really enjoy this company and all the stuff they make, and they've got a bunch of fun stuff in the Kickstarter, so you should check it out.
Great.
And if you back it and get the baby quiver in black, they will make the other colors for it, which is what they didn't promise me on Twitter, but kind of implied, that you can get a pink baby quiver and a blue baby quiver, so we got to make this happen.
So this is self-serving is what you're saying?
Maybe a little bit. Because
Okay.
I want a little pink baby quiver.
Oh, boy.
Cute. Baby quiver.
When you say
What do
baby quiver, I just
Yeah.
imagine that you have a sack on your side that you pull babies out of when you need them.
babies? Oh, gosh.
Oh God. Shoot the baby.
And it's fun because you start up conversations. People come up, they're like, "Is that your clarinet?" Or I'll say, "I have my quiver," and they think I actually have a quiver full of
babies?
arrows. No, not babies,
Oh my
but of
God.
arrows. They're like, "I really thought you had a bow and arrow when you said quiver." So great
Yes.
conversation starter. Check it out.
Good done.
All right,
All right.
Bonsai.
Hey, I got a really nice, pretty Kickstarter for you. It's a make 100 game, so they're only going to make 100 of these. And it is Canosa. I think that's how you pronounce it. Canosa Deluxe Woodboard game. This is just, from a craftsman's perspective, a beautiful work of, just basically really well crafted.
This
You
is
know,
like an heirloom game kind of
yeah,
stuff.
this is an heirloom game. Like a lot of these wooden board games, I got a little snobby sense.
I know.
to
I
them.
keep finding wooden Kickstarters, and I keep being like, "Oh, Bonsai will be excited by this," and she's like, "No, Derek, I don't think you understand how this is not set up to my standards."
This is not quite my standards. This is just laser printed, just not quite. But yeah, no, this actually looks like there was yes, they do probably use some CNC cutter routers in some parts of the area, but it looks like it's mostly handcrafted. With a lot of beautiful joints and everything in there. It's an abstract two-player game where you're playing sirens trying to woo the sailormen.
There's a vague theme on it, and I like that. Like, it's neat. Like,
Yeah.
the sirens trying to lure sailors to their doom amuses me.
Yes, all the
Great theme.
luring. And it's really just a really gorgeous thing. And for the price that they're giving us, $120, this is really well worth it.
Yeah.
Just looking at it, it probably takes them a day for each game to be made.
So it's not cheap,
So it's
but
not
it is
cheap.
high quality.
Yes. It is also under the category of can it be used as a bludgeon?
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like we need to get a scale there for you. Just can it be used as a weapon?
It's like
yes!
the spice scale
Yep.
and then the weaponization scale.
Yeah, you gotta have both.
All right, that has 5 days left.
5 days left.
All right, with 6 days left is the kind of project that if I'm going to tell you about, you will laugh at me and tell me I'm dumb, and then you'll go to the Kickstarter and you'll continue to laugh at me, and then you'll leave the Kickstarter and you'll think, actually, that's not a terrible idea.
And then you'll buy it.
Yeah, it's Level Up, a raised platform for cardboard RPGs. It's basically like
A table
Yo,
for
dog,
your table. It's
I
a
heard you
table
like
table.
tables, so we're gonna put a table on your table.
So you can table while you
Yeah.
table.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you put it's a little standy table you put on top of your table so that you can put your dice and your books and your character sheets underneath, and you put the battle mat on top, or you put the board game on top and your individual boards underneath.
Yeah,
This is for people who have very small gaming tables.
yes.
Or people who have normal tables
Or
and not gaming tables.
People like me who once murdered a laptop with coffee.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I did
don't-
that.
don't
do
It was a MacBook Air, and the coffee just gets sucked right up into the back of
Yeah,
it,
don't do
and
that.
it dies.
Oh.
And ever since, I put my water, I take my water,
So
I leave the
would you
room
keep your
and
drink
put
on the
it-
table, or would
She
you keep your
absolutely,
laptop on the
would.
table?
She would definitely put the laptop here, the drink here, so that
See,
she can get it from the top.
My
this
thing
time.
about this Kickstarter is that I looked at it and I was like, yeah, I've seen those at fiestas
Yeah.
and parties. you got
Yep.
tiers.
Yeah,
and
but this is the gamer
Anybody
version
who's
of
ever
that.
been to a
Yeah.
quinceanera has seen one of these things.
Yeah.
It just had dips and chips on it.
But now, board games.
Board games. And it's raised $1 million. I've seen the ads all over Facebook, so
Yep.
it's
Yeah,
doing
Yep.
quite well for
And
itself.
I think I guess the innovation here is it is modular, so you can make it larger or smaller as
Okay.
your table dictates.
The innovation here is that you don't have to wipe off your table before you play anymore.
Yeah, that too.
Just
So
Not
that
putting
has
a table.
6 days left. In other kind of tool innovations with 6 days left, we also have Drop Top by Dr. Tabletop.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
good name.
Not a real doctor. Just come
Not
out
a
and
real
saying
doctor. I'm just gonna say there's probably I know one person in chat that will.
Yeah, so this is
Buy
like,
this.
do you buy Games Workshop paints and wish that you could just use them like a dropper bottle? Because you just get this Kickstarter, rip off the lids, and put these on, and you're good to go.
Nice.
You don't have to go through the process my wife did of like buying empty bottles and funnels and pouring them in and stuff
Oh
like
wow.
that.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fun.
You,
So
you
like,
sound like the beginning of an infomercial.
I know,
right?
right?
How do I tie my own shoes? I fell down.
I
Paint
dripped the
all over
paint
your-
on
Oh,
the
the paint is everywhere.
Oh no!
But now
I
you
can't
can get
read.
this. This product is for you.
So easy. Ooh, and it even makes fries.
Yep. I would not eat the fries with this paint on it, although I think most paints are edible.
Don't.
I bet
that's
you do
not
think that.
health
You know,
advice. Can you
I 100%
confirm?
believe
Why
that
would
you think
say
paints
that?
are edible.
Not
Because the number
Gen
of
Con.
times and the number of
Please
people I
don't
know
eat paint.
who drink their paint water and
That's-
survive.
This is not
That's-
medical advice.
This is
not-
why miniatures people are weird.
All right.
Anyway,
Moving on.
if you need, if you have always kind of annoyed at those paint pots,
Yeah.
this is your project to alleviate some of that pain.
Excellent.
Yes.
And then finally, with 6 days left, is Aeon's End Outcasts. And Aeon's End is just one of those card games that's very popular. It's from Indie Board and Card, I believe.
Yep.
So this just has a whole bunch of new options for that. It's a cooperative deck building game, post-apocalyptic fantasy, and it's very popular. So we figured that a lot of people would want to know about that so they can get in before it ends.
Now you know, 6 days left.
All right, let us head.
But wait, there's more.
There's
Yes.
more.
Wait, is there?
There's more.
well, there's the more.
There's
Oh,
more.
right.
Okay, so we
Of
got
Five
Zine
more
Quest.
pages.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
All the
we're
pages.
still in Zine Quest country.
Yeah.
Zine Quest.
So we're gonna
country.
lightning round around our table.
Yeah.
Yes.
First, we're gonna start with. Actually, why don't we reiterate what these zines are
Yeah.
for folks who weren't here
Yes.
the last couple of times?
All right.
So again, Zine Quest is like in February. Kickstarter has this special program where if you're making a zine, as Christian is kind of demonstrating what a zine is usually like, it has to be RPG related, can only run for 2 weeks, has to launch in February.
Has to be this exact size.
Has to be about that size. I think A5 is okay. You can't be perfect
that's
bound,
this,
so
by the
it
way.
has to be saddle stitched or stapled or hand bound or something like that. And it can only have 2-color printing. So it has to look like something that you probably would have done in like your school's mimeograph thing if those even
You
still
basically,
exist.
yeah, you basically can't use anything fancier than a copy machine to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It looks like those cult booklets.
Yeah, it looks like this.
Oh.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Oh, that's nice.
So what this kind of means is that you end up with these really weird, focused, idiosyncratic, strange games. They're all going to be RPG related in some way because that's what Zine Quest is.
Yes.
So we're going to run through a whole lot of those, but they're just bizarre, and
Yeah.
we do not have time to cover all of them by any
Nope.
means. But we have picked ones that connected with us for one reason or another, and sometimes it's just, look at this title, it just sounds so weird, let's play it.
Yep.
And other times, like, you'll see. So this
Some
is,
of them look super fun. Some
Yeah.
of them I'm like, I don't know if I would play that.
Yep.
but they're almost always like very strong because they're so focused.
Yeah.
So we're going
Yes.
to give you a tour of some of them. If any of these sound interesting, check them out, or just go to Kickstarter and go to Zine Quest.
Yeah, Kickstarter, as Derek pointed out to me, you can also get the PDFs for a lot of these for not a lot of money, so you can get a low investment. A lot of them are also on itch, and you can get them, pay what you want, so it's very low investment. And even if you're not a role player gamer, there's so much stuff in here that is interesting and compelling. So I really want to say, you might be watching this and be like, oh, it's not really for me, but it might just be.
Give it a shot.
Okay.
So our first one, with 3 days left, is Deep Nightly Fathoms. And this is just, it's like a very short RPG that's inspired by a 19th century like wood, I think it might be woodblock art. Just really like rich, evocative images. Imagine like a full moon and clouds rolling and a ship just sailing through the clouds to the moon. Like, Gustave Doré, I think is his name.
So if
Yeah.
I can imagine that, do I not have to look at the picture?
It probably helps.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's probably additional details that might spur your imagination further.
Yeah.
But so this is just a whole RPG inspired by 19th century paintings from one particular artist.
Oh, okay.
And that's
That's really
neat.
cool.
Very
It's a
specific.
perfect example of what Zine Quest is.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
exactly. So Christian.
Next up is the Violet Sanction with 3 days left. This is a prologue episode to a queer punk urban fantasy. Ooh. So everything is set in Seattle. Magic has come to Seattle and is affecting the queer community in different ways. And you get to, go and look at all these famous landmarks, and it's got all. If you're from Seattle, like, you're gonna get a lot of cool.
Like
Easter
some
eggs.
of us might be.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're not, it's still just got a bunch of really cool stuff in it. Mm-hmm. If you can get past the fonts.
Yeah, as a
The
warning.
capitalization, yeah.
Yeah.
Non-standard capitalization bothers you at all, and you know who you are, then you might not want to check this out because it will make your eyes bleed.
You better like that SpongeBob meme.
Yeah.
To get into this.
Yep. It is definitely meme typing.
It's, urban fantasy, Magic returning to the queer community in Seattle. Like, that is hyper
Plus,
specific.
like the way that they do the characters have a very kind of Seattle feel to them. The children of Chariot, the magicians of smoke and water. Their symbol is just a joint with a cup of coffee next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Very Seattle.
it definitely
That's
has
like
a tongue-in-cheek.
the embodiment of Seattle.
Man, that could be my personal house seal, honestly.
Yeah.
Just like a cup of coffee with a joint next to it.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, Bonsai, what do you got?
All right, so, hey, coming from that side, we're going to go ahead and hit you with Bone Age Weird School RPG. 4 days left. If you ever want to play Caveman in an OSR-type system that fight both aliens and Cthulhu-like creatures, this is the game for you. So it's meant to be more pulp fiction than anything, so more campy and fun with using, the crunchy OSR kind of math.
Every time
you
say Pulp Fiction, I think of the movie, not
Pulp
Pulp
Fiction?
Adventure Fiction.
No, pulp adventure fiction, so campy, fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
and
wearing
fresh.
suits.
Yeah, all wearing suits. But yeah, so it's basically...
Listening to surf rock.
Well, yeah, you play as cavemen. Aliens come down from the sky and wreck stuff, and then they awake the unearthed creatures of the demigods and dark gods, and so now you're cavemen stuck between space.
No worry,
and
Bonsai. Me smash them good.
Me smash, it's good.
I like how the tagline has turtle apes and ape turtles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
turtle apes, turtles, all kinds of good stuff. So if you want to go ahead and go murder hobo crazy, this is the game for you.
I bet you have a project that's just as weird, Emma.
Yeah. Up next is Alone on a Journey with 4 days left by Takuma Okada, a collection of
What a
solo...
wonderful phrase.
a collection of solo adventuring games. So this one is a little reminiscent of Artifact, which we talked about last week, which was doing very well for itself. Because solo, you just play these games by yourself. Sit in your room for a couple of hours and just have a very nice introspective journey. So you're going to be exploring strange and fantastic planets, experiencing wondrous sights, based on single-player systems. A few different games in here. Use a deck of cards and a 6-sided die to generate the prompts for your games. So if you're wondering, well, if I'm by myself and I don't have anyone to bounce off of, how do I tell a story? You're going to have prompts to guide you through that storytelling journey. Also like to mention that there's ways for anyone to modify the game. Part of Takuma's reason for making this was the belief that anyone can make a game, which I am very supportive of. So I like that that's
definitely part of the Zine Quest ethos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Alone on a Journey.
Speaking of the Zine Quest ethos, zines, and everybody making something.
Absolutely. Like, honestly, if not for this next one, these would not exist.
Yeah.
It's just straight up fact. Here you go. This is a zine called Punktopia, the punk role-playing game.
Oh, is there punks in this game?
Yeah.
If
they
you
fight the man?
If you refer to the agenda, there's a note that says extremely punk.
Yeah. An absurdly punk rock role-playing game zine. Extremely punk.
But
Those are the two notes that I have for this game. Do you know why?
why?
Because punk rockers are the reason for zines. I mean,
Yeah.
they would not exist if bored kids in the 90s hadn't started folding pieces of paper in half after writing bad poetry on them.
Yeah.
So the fact that they have a punk rock role-playing game in zine form, you should just buy it because it's truth in advertising. It's got fun little artwork in it. You get to beat down the establishment, talk about anarchy, but never really do anything. Put glue in your hair.
Sounds very
Oh.
RPG.
Yeah.
No.
I like it.
It'll be rad.
All right. Well, the next project we have is what I brought Show and Tell for. This has 5 days left,
Ooh.
and this is Cascade Land Kruach,
Kruach.
or Kruach, however.
Like Kruach.
Yep. So this is the old Casket Land zine. This was from last year's Zine Quest, I think.
It's Kruak or Kruach. One of them
Did
sounds
it
like a
come
Klingon
with
word.
the-
The other one
this
sounds like
bandana?
a
So,
venereal
so
disease.
like this is what a zine looks like. This is a full RPG of you play kind of a Powered by the Apocalypse like character, like maybe the Undertaker or the Priest or the Gravedigger or something like that, in a Wild West town where you know a bunch of weird monsters are slowly encroaching on you. How will you survive?
Yes.
Well, if I'm the Undertaker, I'll choke slam everybody.
Oh, well, that too.
But
Yep.
if I'm the Gravedigger, I'll drive over them.
Okay.
Oh, hey, yeah, you're right.
And this came with the world's cutest little DM screen.
Nice.
Yes.
And this bandana is the map of the town.
Oh,
So you
cool.
can see, like, here's the witch's hut, and like the graveyard is over there somewhere.
Handy.
There's
Can
the
we show
town.
it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at that.
So
Ta-da!
the Kickstarter that's running currently is for
Oh, it's your house. It's a nice
the
house.
like a new setting for this. Like, there's apparently you're in a swamp that's being flooded. So mystical, magical, weird flooding going on. So swamp locations, new classes. There's hints of tarot cards all around the thing that I'm hoping maybe they'll make into a real deck sometime.
Yes.
Because I'm a sucker for that. But like this is just a very specific, like weird Wild West specific town. Here's the characters, play the story.
Okay. Cool.
Cool.
Also, hey, you guys ever read Good Omens by Terry Pratchett? Well, this
Or watch
zine,
the show.
or watch the show. This is a zine, Heaven Has No Taste and Other True Statements. If you can't tell what that's about by just how it's worded, this is heavily inspired by Good Omens. You play as the theme of belonging but outside of belonging. So you play as demons and angels that happen to fall in love with each other. And this is like a switching GM kind of situation, so you take turns being GM. And the more, you want to go ahead and focus more on the characters and how they interact with the world in these kind of games.
Yep.
So this is definitely
Good,
has
Good Omens,
7
the /fic fanfic RPG.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's all just romance stuff, but
No, it isn't, because it's a very highly debate whether or not a
slice of life.
Yeah, slice of life.
Definitely a slice of
Yeah,
life.
like
Yeah.
the angels and demons have fallen in love with being on Earth as
Yes.
much or more than they have fallen in love with each other.
Yeah.
So it could be a platonic relationship or romantic relationship. Both.
Those are two kinds of relationships.
They are.
Yeah.
They are very,
Nice.
very. Yes. But yeah, that has 7 days left. And if you just like that theme of trying to navigate between, having a society that you don't quite fit in and wanting to work that out, it could be very therapeutic as well. So I would go ahead and suggest Heaven Has No Taste and Other True Statements.
Up next, we have Dirt RPG for Zine Quest with 4 days left. This was one that surprised me that I was interested in. So again, you might find some stuff, you look at these, that you didn't think you would like, so you should look at all of them. It is a very dark and grim scenario. Start out reading the text on the page. You should just go and read the text on the page, because I think that's really what captured me, is how evocative and unique the world that they were creating. So, for example, the horrific screaming and quaking lasted all night. In the morning, Deliverance was a bloated and jaundiced corpse of its prior self. The dead moon pulsed with a sickly yellow light. So that's basically what you're going to get if
Wow.
you're in on this. These people live on a world that was doing great because the moon came and saved them all, Deliverance, and then everything went awful for no reason, and everyone started dying. The earth started churning up horrors beyond imagining, and also rare and wonderful artifacts. So you have to live and exist in this sort of a
So a
situation.
weird post-apocalyptic fantasy setting.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Learn what lies in the deep dirt. So if you want to check out that kind of cool scenario, also very intriguing art and lore to this world, check out Dirt RPG with 4 days left.
Okay.
All right, Christian, how about you?
Accessible Gaming Quarterly, an RPG zine. Obviously, we talk about accessibility in gaming a lot on the show. We have Hawk Robinson from RPG Research come in on the regular, usually at least once a month. This is a zine that helps with everything that we talk about on this show in regards to that, in just about every way you can possibly imagine, but in a much shorter form. It has not funded yet. It's got about $400 more to go before it does. Check it out, buy it. That's it.
Yes.
All right. With
Just
5
in case
days
we
left,
get to
we
the
have
9
a,
of these in the next 5
yeah,
minutes.
with 5 days left, we have a zine that I think everybody would assume I'd be supporting. which is Inside Out, the body horror tabletop RPG
Ugh.
zine.
Yep. Yep.
So this is a zine full of explaining body horror, talking about how to incorporate body horror into your game. So I am all for it because I do love me some weird, squicky, creepy stuff.
Yuck.
All right,
All right.
Bonsai.
All right, and the next one I have is another dice list, GM list kind of game, or switching GM kind of game. Thistle and Hearth. You play as a society outside of a wintry village. So it has a lot of dark fairy tale-esque themes to it, and it's more of a free-form kind of role-playing game. So if you like the whole idea, it's the same kind of concept as the other zine I just talked about. So it's slice of life. You get to switch roles as GM, and you're more focused on the relationships of the people than...
It's Pan's Labyrinth without the war.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's
That's true.
definitely like Grimm's fairy tale.
Grimm's fairy tale. So if you want to go ahead and you like that kind of setting with fairy tales and trying to find your place in the world while all this is happening, it has 7 days left. Thistle and Hearth.
Also, with 7 days left, we have Our Queen Crumbles, a weird fantasy RPG. So this is a weird fantasy RPG about how you have already failed in your task. Your queen is dead.
Oh, jeez.
She is being reanimated as a shambling corpse on her throne,
Yeah.
just long enough for you, who the party consists of the Knight of Whispers, the Gravity Witch, the Hangman Golem, and the Bloody Historian, can go on a journey of revenge for your queen. Like,
Wow.
I am
Wow.
in.
I love revenge stories.
Wow.
The Gravity Witch, come on.
Gravity Witch, that is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it sounds like the big... What is the one where they drag the corpse around to have a party?
Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh, yeah, Weekend at Bernie's. That's what
It feels a little bit like a dark Wizard of Oz.
Yep,
I don't.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
see that.
So...
All right, Emma.
Next, Splat, Perspectives on Play. This isn't an RPG in and of itself, but it takes a lot of really smart people in the industry, and they write very important essays about the meta level of role-playing games. So, for example, telling compelling stories without having to do a novel-length campaign, what it means to play tabletop for both yourself and an audience, so if you're live streaming or doing videos, and also how to relax and get back to the basic playfulness we were born possessing instead of obsessing over the rules and worrying too much. Hey, it's a game and you're supposed to have fun. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So if you want to dig a little bit into what it means to play, getting better at playing role-playing games, then this zine is for you. Splat, Perspectives on Play, 4 days left.
Ooh, nice.
Groovy. Next up, Funny Freakout, a Zine Quest RPG project with 5 days left. It was written by Clifton Wright, who I got to star with on a tabletop role-playing game show called Rural Punk that we were doing a little while back.
Ooh,
I had a really good time playing with them. This, like that game, is also a Knives in the Dark,
Forged in the Dark.
Forged in the Dark system hack, where you play a TV crew / group of producers, basically making a prank show where you scare people. It's like Scare Tactics, the role-playing game.
Scare Tactics,
You know,
the
get them to
role-playing.
think they're in a real situation that is not real without them finding out and scare the living crap out of them.
All right.
It sounds
That
like a lot of
sounds
fun to me.
great.
There you go.
Looks like he might be in chat, actually. He said it was his.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
So the next
Nice.
project, again, is an extremely Derek game, and I'm sure everybody can recognize from the title, Corruption of the Black-Hearted. This is a...
No,
This is a very
really?
Derek sound.
So
Really?
it's a psychological twist on old school role playing games in zine format. Do you know what clinched it for me though? You accomplish all of your tasks with the following 3 stats: violence, subterfuge, or hubris. It is not like, hey, I'm a heroic person. It's I inflict violence to solve this problem.
Yeah.
Like, I like this twist.
Okay.
I'm just really great and I can do whatever, so I'm sure I'll succeed.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah.
Hubris is like the intellect. Like I'm just too smart for this situation.
Okay. Yeah.
So that has 6 days left, and I like anything that's going to spin fantasy RPGs a little darker.
Excellent.
All right.
All right, up next, I'm sorry, did you say Street Magic is the name of the zine with 5 days left. What really got me excited about this game is you're playing a city, basically. So it's a little bit like other games, Microscope, where you're making the world and building it, but you're also playing the vignettes from all of the people who live in this city. And what's exciting is the idea of playing different characters. So you don't just pick one character and that's your character for the whole game. You could play 2-3 hour game and play tons of different people with different relationships. And you can either play it as a one-shot, play it as a campaign, or even use it to build worlds for other campaigns. So a lot of fun
Kind of reminds me of
stuff
the
going
map,
on.
the map labeling game we had.
Map labeling, yeah.
Book or
Competitive
Beak,
map
Bone
labeling.
and Feather, I
Yeah.
think.
This one's by Caro Esercion. And yeah, you should definitely check it out. It's got 5 days left. I'm sorry, did you say Street Magic?
All right.
Great. So our last zine for the week, with 7 days left, is the Scoved Chronicles #1, I'm assuming.
All right.
This is a weird Gothic City crawl zine. So, again, from the title, you wouldn't think it's a Derek game, but if I tell you that you are playing exiled nobles from a corrupt empire thrown into a crime-ridden fantasy city with a lot of chaotically shifting alliances that you have to navigate and turn to your own purposes.
It's all apathy. Look at this. Wow.
Wow.
I feel like you can learn a lot about a
Did you-
person
were
based
you
on
in
the
Lock
role-playing
UN when you
games
were
that they
younger?
like.
No, but I thought about it real hard. I
Yeah,
don't think I
you,
still had one.
you could
You-
easily
yeah.
be one of those flowers in the attic.
Wait. we.
So, but like this is, it takes the idea of like a hex crawl, like an old school RPG. You're crawling around the map, exploring, and contains that within a city, and adds a bunch of weird politics on top, and it's weird. So I'm all for it.
So it's,
Alright,
it's
stuff.
an evil city. So it's like it's always sunny in Gotham.
Oh, it's always sunny in Gotham. I like that. That's a good one. I like it a
And
lot.
that is all of our.
That is
zine
all
quests
of our
for this week.
zines.
Yep.
But don't run away, guys. We still have new release rundown coming right after this with Liz Montgomery from Uncle's Games, showing off all those new games. And later on tonight at 6 p.m., don't forget, we're doing a very, very happy campaign in Alien RPG.
It's so happy.
It's so happy.
great.
It's joyful.
Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah, I'm having a great time.
I'm having a super great time.
I'm
Also,
missing it.
it's okay. It's all right. And as you know, our happiness leader, Derek, is GMing for that game. So, you know, if you know how Derek
Happiness
is.
leader.
Happiness leader.
He's the happy captain.
He's the happy captain.
captain.
Speaking of body horror,
Yeah, speaking of body horror. And then also you can see myself and Emma in that game along with Javion Smith and Joe Louis.
Joe's actually sick.
Oh,
so
so-
Marcus is probably going to be jumping in.
So
What?
JK,
Marcus is going to be the
Well,
jerk.
now I'll watch.
now
the
we'll
role
have
of
to-
Joe Louis will be played by Marcus this evening.
Yes, Marcus. But that's not all, guys. We have a full schedule here at Gen Con TV. Mondays at 6 p.m. you can join board games with the Brothers Murph. Wednesdays at 9 a.m. you got minis with Murph. Fireside at 4 p.m. Fireside with Peter Atkinson and of course Emma, where they talk about all the background stuff. All the nitty-gritty of the Magic and Dungeons and Dragons.
You're currently covering D&D.
Yep. Currently, they're covering DVT, and all of those are also podcasts that you can listen to as well. If you guys wanted to check out Fireside, so you can either watch here or check out the podcast.
Hey, trade friend. How you
there-
doing?
Hey,
I'm a train.
Trained friend. And then at 6:30, we got the Westgate Irregulars. If you guys happen to be on my channel, we raided into that scenario on Wednesday. So you guys should just check it out. You like role-playing games. You like people who are very good at writing. Can write. There you go. And then, of course, Fridays, you have us starting at 11. And then at 12:30 is new release rundown. And 6 p.m. is game night. Don't forget, Gen Con. Huh?
Maybe we're like 12:35 today.
Yeah, 12:35. You know, it's live. Welcome to live streaming. Anywho, Gen Con badges are on sale. If you guys haven't found that out yet, just check them out. Remember to follow, subscribe. We're not only here on Twitch, we're on YouTube. We got podcasts. You just need to check us out. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss anything. And thank you all for watching. And thank you for Chaldea Studios for lending us your studio, beautiful studio space. And you guys have an awesome, awesome time. And see you very shortly with New Release Rundown. Bye, friends.